Yeah, I would definitely say with the birth of my daughter 5 years ago, everything changed. And I mean, and that's when when I was working on The End Is Nigh. I would say that that change in my life was maybe 40% of what the game was about. It's like questioning, like, can I keep doing this? I definitely can't do it in the same way I did before. Um, and when it came to that carrying the weight, workload, workaholic personality type that I am, The End Is Nigh was the last game that felt like that. And you know, and I could say that it probably at the time damaged my relationship. It's one of those juggling acts where it's like how much. I think for Danielle, like my development, my creative side, whatever the project I was working on, always felt like the other woman. And that I'm still surprised to this day that like it didn't cause more issue than it has. And it's just because I think I can juggle those things pretty well, and I'll just make sure I put in the relationship time as much as possible when I'm not obsessively working.
Yeah.
But definitely once Peach was born, it was like, I can't do this anymore. Now, do I quit or do I figure out how to make it work? And I've been trying my best to figure out how to make it work. And part of it is prying things out of my hands and admitting to the fact that I can't. Like I remember going into Four Souls and thinking that I could do all the art for that. It's like, come on, I can't do anything. Like I don't have time to do anything. Like I'm spread so thin, and I would like to have a functional marriage, and I would like to be a father and not and actually spend time with her. And I, it may be something that you will eventually struggle with, like your daughter wanting to play with you while you're working in front of a computer, and she'll know you as that guy working in front of the computer, and it feels terrible because it's almost worse to be there. You're there, she's there, she sees that you're ignoring her. You don't go to work, it's like what you can it's like my daddy's going to work or whatever else. It literally just seems like I'm neglecting her,
Yeah.
playing video games all day. And if anybody else came in, they'd see the same thing. And it's such a feel bad. So in order to do that, I need to lean harder on other people. And it has been difficult at times for me to let go of that control and trust other people. Luckily, the people I'm working with, like Vin and Tyler especially, I trust them, and I need to be able to trust them or I'll lose my mind, because I'll still be working in my head when I'm with Peach. I'll still be working in my head when I'm going out and going to the park with them or whatever else. Like I can't do that. I need to be present. So yeah, I'm doing that as much as I can, and I'm outsourcing things and hiring people. And the cool thing is like you said before, like I kind of have access to all these people, especially artists. Like so many of the artists that I hired to do Four Souls, like were inspired by me. Like, and their artwork looks kind of like my artwork. So it's like, this works perfectly. You're just a better artist than me. Like, and of course, like not only that, but they're fans. So they know if I say draw a mulligan, they draw a mulligan. It's not like wait,
you got to explain it.
Give me a 3D, whatever they call those things. Those where in a cartoon where it's like you need every dimension of the character so the animator or artist can actually draw them correctly, the rule set or whatever that's called. They just do it. Like I'll literally say like, okay, we want to do a 3D version of the Keeper. And we'll just say, hey, can you draw that in 3 dimensions? Yes. Because they completely understand how this 2-dimensional character would look in 3 dimensions flawlessly. And it's like, so yeah, working with very skilled fans who understand everything, whose style is mildly inspired by my own, so I can use it so well. It's great. Yeah, and I'm learning to let go and just focus on design. I mean, it's essentially like it boils you down to, I'm not the greatest artist. My strength is actually in my themes and design. So just focus on what I'm good at, and so I don't kill myself or my family doesn't kill me.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a very similar boat over here. Like, I mean, our daughter's she turns 6 months old this weekend. So she's still basically like, I can have her in my office and, like bounce her and give her toys and stuff like that without appearing to be a neglectful father, to her especially. But it's something I think about for sure. And it really does, like, I mean, I know when people said this to me and they had kids before we had kids, I didn't believe them. That like you can only understand once you've actually had them, like the amount of time and investment it actually takes. But it really does not only like limit the amount of time that you have, but also like the time that you want to spend. Like every hour of work that you put in extra on top of like your normal work, you're like, that's actually actively sucking an hour out of like the time that I could be spending with my family right now.
Yeah. It's a weird, and people always hate it when you say that, like you wouldn't understand until you experience it. But it is one of those things, like, and the same thing goes, I think, almost for marriage in general, like moving in with somebody and having a child, and all those things are total game changers. But having a kid changes your whole perspective on everything. It's like suddenly you have the most important thing in the world, and your view on everything changes, and you have to reprioritize your whole life to make sure that, because this is now the priority, and it's not just like some written rule. It's something that you feel deep down in your soul and can keep you up at night.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going into, like, Peach is a challenge, and she's a challenge because she's just a little version of me, and I was a fucking terror to my mother. Like I was a hyperactive, very impossible to discipline child who just did whatever I wanted to do and tried to get away with everything, and pushed to see where the boundaries were. And now I've got a little version of that, and I'll yell at her and be like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm in my mind hearing the echo of my mom saying this to me while I'm like tearing open the back seat of the car for no reason at all. Like, I found a sharp object on the beach. I'm going to put it in my pocket, bring it into the car, and start cutting through the leather seating. I remember finding crayons and then putting them in the back seat because I knew that they'd melt, and I knew on the top area in the back, and I wanted to see what it would look like, and I knew my mom couldn't see it from where she was, and she would never look in the back. And I just find crayons and I put a whole thing of crayons and melted the whole back seat, and it melted in. Oh God, I just destroyed. She's not destructive, which is nice, but I was.
It must have smelled nice, at least, when they melted.
Yeah, it was pleasant.
And I know, like, because people are like, you don't get it, like, I'm busy. And I'm like, yeah, I know you're busy. But, like, the stuff that you have, you can, like, put off. You can, it's not like you can just not be a dad for, like, a whole week and then put in, like, 30 hours on Saturday and Sunday and be like, we're good. It's like a daily maintenance. Like, you're tending to the garden every day.
Well, and the thing that blows my mind, too, is this idea, like, that I could just pawn Peach off on Danielle and then that's fine.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but I want to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want a single parent situation here. Like, I want to be an active father. That's the whole, that's why we had a baby. Like, that's the whole fucking point. Now, how do I go about doing that? But yeah, it's impossible to explain to people that don't have kids. And we're probably alienating every fucking person who's listening.